Hello, that kind of nerd fans. Welcome to your exclusive coverage of Avengers Endgame. I need to preface this, obviously, right off the bat, if you have not seen the movie. First off, wow. I don't know how you've gotten this far in our podcast.
Yeah, considering it generated $1.2 billion opening weekend, how were you not part of that?
Number two, stop listening and go see this movie. And if you're listening in the future, I hope you have hovering cars and a hoverboard.
Welcome back to listening to us cry for a while.
I am CJ Mellon, joined, of course, by Josh Burns and Brian Thornton.
What up? Brian has no words. He has no words.
Do you think the bench was the same bench that Hulk threw? I think that was the same bench he was.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Damn it.
So dumb.
That's not dumb. That's meaningful.
Wait, he threw the bench. It landed upright
Perfectly.
in
And
the
then
ground.
Cap
seating
sat-
position.
Right.
Perfectly able. Cap was like, oh, I saw him throw that bench. When I come back, that's where I will sit.
That's where I'm going to sit.
That's where I will be.
Where these fucks are going to have to come find me. Right. Damn it, Brian.
That's not true. The bench was at Avengers, the Avengers Tower. Like, you think he threw it all the way there?
He may have.
Doubt it. Anyway. Hello.
It's going to be a long, long night.
Dude, this is going to be tough to get through. I'm gonna preface for everybody listening. Likely, very likely, my voice will crack. Very likely, I will get emotional.
This was a very emotional movie.
I'm going to apologize now. And preface it by saying it didn't matter whether there were going to be cutscenes at the end. Christian and I were not sitting for the lights to come up and reveal the pools of tears underneath us.
I can attest that Josh does this because when he and I saw A Star Is Born,
Got out.
as soon as the credits rolled, he fucking bolted.
Because I don't need to sit there for people to see all the pool of tears under me.
It was rough.
I gotta go.
All
I
right,
do
so-
have to say, as long as we're talking about people crying, if you didn't cry at this movie, you're heartless. And I know I'm talking about my best friend, Melissa. I started crying, and then I was crying tears of sadness, and then I got okay, and then I cried tears of sadness again, and then I cried happy tears, and then I realized I shouldn't be happy, so then I cried more tears of sadness.
Yep.
But about halfway through this entire roller coaster, I just feel my fiance's hand just rubbing my shoulder / back as if to say, it's okay. It's all right. And I'm like,
It wasn't okay.
It wasn't okay.
not okay.
It wasn't all right.
Christian did the same thing. Christian at one point turned to me and just started rubbing my shoulder.
that's exactly what you did.
Tony and his father. Christian's rubbing my shoulder.
I cried multiple times.
Oh my God. It was, I ugly cried probably 4 times.
It's funny you bring that, though, Brian, that your fiance was comforting you, because one of your main concerns of seeing this movie with her was that you were going to cry more in this movie than you are going to during your wedding, your upcoming nuptials. So
That's still a very real concern.
so now the bar and the gauntlet has been set. So I wish you well on your journey.
I hope one of you guys have some of those bottled tears on you, because I'm gonna have to do something.
All right, let's jump into this, asking obviously for just some first impressions when you left the theater, hopefully the first time that you saw the movie, and just kind of how you left it the first time that you viewed Endgame. Brian, let's start with you. Just leaving the theater the first time.
How I left it?
Yeah, how did you feel when the credits
Broken.
started and everything?
I just answered your question.
Just broken. That's it.
I mean, we all know I'm going to give this movie a good review. It was amazing. I thought it was damn near perfect. And when I say damn near perfect, I don't mean, the time travel makes sense. You can figure, if you really want to, you can nitpick this movie, this story, whatever you want. This movie was the perfect ending to 22 movies and 11 years of these characters and these movies. And it's not over. Obviously, we're getting more after this, but this was a nice cap. A nice, let's end these people's story. Let's end this volume. Let's end this saga, whatever they want to call it. And then what we get is going to be completely new. A lot of stuff ended and caused a lot of emotions for me. So yes, I was broken.
So when I left it, I thought the same thing. I felt very cathartic, right? I just felt like I had just a big moment, just kind of happened. I felt definitely like I was part of something really big, and it felt good to know that we had just closed a book. Really, we closed a series, and I felt really satisfied. And I left the theater really just energized and but also at the same time felt like I had just run a marathon and I had crossed the finish line first, and I felt those mixture of emotions. It was really it was incredible. I hadn't felt that way walking out of a movie in a very long time, and I was immediately planning another trip to go see this movie again.
You saw it 3 times, right?
I did. I saw it 3 times in 3 days. So I mean, I went back to back to back.
I need to go back.
But Josh, what was your feeling when you left as well? Because you went with Christian, you went with your son. I know that was a big deal for you guys too.
It was a huge deal for us. I just gotten back from the NFL draft. We planned this specifically as like a boys' sojourn type deal. We grabbed lunch, talked about our expectations, walked in, and man, I don't know, leaving. It's one of the better movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just from start to finish, it was excellent. And then there was closure, but it wasn't all bad. Like there were so many good moments that balanced out the bad shit that you did feel good leaving. And I left hopeful, but like there were so many things in there I wasn't ready for.
Right.
Yeah, it was tough. It was one of the better movies I've ever seen.
So I want to start with something. Again, this movie opened up to my theater completely unexpectedly, right? Of just jumping right into Hawkeye teaching his daughter how to shoot, right? And just kind of
You're gonna open up a movie.
Yep.
With this guy losing his entire fucking family.
And just and I hope you guys had the same experience I did. My theater was very interactive and involved with the screening.
Yes.
And just all you heard was no, fuck, no, and just it's a gut punch. I mean, we're just starting this with, hey, I hope you brought your tissues and start them now. We're going.
In case you didn't remember from last year,
right.
Let me just kick you in the nuts here.
They opened up. Christian and I turned to each other and I went, he's going to lose his whole fucking family right
now. Yep.
Don't repeat that. But he's going to lose his whole fucking family right now. Christian was like, no. I'm like, oh, it's about to happen.
Yeah. It hit hard. Also, who does
ugly
put mayo?
Crying. I was ugly crying within the first 5 minutes of this movie.
Oh, God.
It's not fair.
It wasn't even 5 minutes because on my third viewing,
I didn't cry at that part.
Oh, as soon as I knew he was going to lose him, I lost my shit.
Yeah, I was losing it immediately. I was
Lost
like, oh God. Also, I do have one question from that scene. Who does put mayo on a hot dog?
That is weird.
Well, people do.
That's
I mean,
weird.
and I'm gonna get like also tons of hot dogs have aioli, and that's mayo.
Okay, Brian, you have a fun fact you said about that scene?
I do have a fun fact about that scene. The young lady who plays Hawkeye's oldest daughter, who she was teaching how to shoot, is one of Joe Russo's daughters.
Oh,
that's cool.
That was nice.
And his second daughter shows up in the selfie scene with the Hulk.
I like that he calls her Hawkeye. I like that.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
I want to talk then. So that was, listen, we just started the movie with a gut punch, and I want to talk about some of the other ones that came down the way. But I want to talk about one that most people aren't having a conversation about until later in their discussions about this movie. And I want to talk about the Soul Stone scene between Hawkeye and Black Widow.
You want to jump to
really?
2/4 of the way through the movie?
You don't want to hit the gut punches and then we go back to some of the high notes?
Let's go right there.
You just want to go through all the gut punches and then
let's make Josh cry a bunch and then we'll go back.
Well, listen,
and we'll
everyone
talk about
starts their conversations with Cap and with Tony, and I think that scene was really unexpected. You didn't know what was going to happen the whole time.
I knew exactly what was going to happen.
I didn't.
And I started tearing up immediately.
So they get to, I don't know, the planet
Vormir
to talk about
You
the Soul
saw
Stone.
it 3 times opening weekend.
Do you know how hard it is to read through tears, Brian? It's very hard to read through tears.
You don't have to read. They tell you. It's also the second time we've seen this
That's
scene
right.
because we saw it last year.
That's right.
I'm not very, how do you say, smart. I'm not a smart Mayan. I am not a smart Mayan.
I'm not a smart man.
All right. So anyway, the scene though where they're discussing about who's going to go and the not fight but
you knew it was going to be her.
the struggle. See, I didn't. And every time
She's got nothing.
I know, and that was kind of the problem. The whole journey of Black Widow is, as she said in the first Avengers movie when she was talking to Hawkeye, was to get out of the red on her ledger, get the red out of her ledger. It was her whole mission the entire time, to do good, to erase the terrible things she did in the past. And this is the culmination of that for her character.
Yes.
It's so much not only of just saving, the universe and giving life back to the universe, but saving Hawkeye in that moment and his family and everything that's coming down.
It was cathartic, but I was not ready for it.
I was not ready. I that is when I was also crying and I was going, no. Like, there's going to be some loophole. There's going to be some way to get her back. There's going to be some way to save her.
No way to get her back.
She's not happening. And it hurts every single time I watched it.
So we're gonna have a prequel movie and then a TV series, right?
Just the prequel movie for her.
So we're done with her too. So there's that. But like, no, I get why she did it, but like I just wasn't ready.
And when I watched it the other times, and you're just kind of watching her story leading up to that, just seeing how she's holding on so tightly to her role of kind of being like in charge of what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Or being in charge of the security of this world. And she's like, I have nothing else. This is all I have. I just got this. And I feel like I have no role in this world. I have no role in what's going on. There's an earthquake. What do? You don't do anything. You just watch it and make sure that, no one gets hurt. And she's just struggling so hard to do that. I mean, it's one of those things where it had to be her. Like, it had to be her, especially between the two of them. But it doesn't make it hurt any less.
No, it does not make it hurt any less.
Brian, what did you think during that scene? What did you think about afterwards, especially when Hawkeye comes back and he just falls to his knees?
I was just wanting to make sure you two were done crying over your fucking bullshit here.
Really? You that scene wasn't as impactful for you?
No, it upset me. I was upset. I didn't cry. That is not what got me.
Oh, dude, I lost it.
I understood why they did it. I understood how they did it. I understood why it had to be her and why it wasn't Hawkeye. It hit me, and I was like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that." Like, I really did not see it coming. But it's not what I didn't. It didn't make me like push me. It wasn't the gut punch. It was like, you knew the moment they were going to Vormir, one of them was going to bite it,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, all right. I had like a solid 10 minutes to mentally prepare myself. Because here's the deal. If it were Hawkeye, wouldn't have cared. No one would have.
No, see, I would have been fried either way.
Yeah.
Because I love them both.
I'm thinking general populace.
No, you're right. General
populace didn't care about Hawkeye until this movie.
You're right.
Yeah.
This movie made Hawkeye really a great character and viable and
100%.
Something that we all knew to begin with, right?
Yes.
But if it were Hawkeye, the consensus would have been,
Oh, all right.
Oh, well.
Okay. Well, that sucks.
But it was her, and everybody lost their freaking minds.
Well, he turned into a mass murderer. So, like, you were, and he was saying, like,
I deserve
you
this.
see what I've become. Like,
right.
I need to go.
That act redeemed her and him.
No, I understand. That's why I fucking lost it.
Yeah, because it could have teetered either way.
That's right. And if it were him, you'd be like, okay, like
he had to pay this price because of everything he did.
That's exactly right.
And it was almost like a punishment, but for her it was redemption.
And
I
she's
think that was the bigger part.
like, you know what? We're gonna win anyway, so let me go do this because I don't have anything else.
Right.
But you know what got me? Honestly, you know what actually gets me about that Black Widow death? And it's not on the first viewing. It's on the second viewing. Before they go into the quantum tunnel, she looks at Cap and says, "See you in a minute."
Yep.
And like second viewing, I'm like, "No, you fucking won't."
Yep. Nope. The other part too, Brian, I think you had talked about with me too, was the relationship between Hawkeye and Black Widow, even at that moment, still being done
Oh,
perfectly
yeah.
and
No,
still developing that relationship.
He's so here's what I really really enjoyed about this movie, not this movie, but this relationship. And it would have been so easy to fuck around with it, is because the brunt of the story takes place 5 years later. It would have been very easy for them to be like, oh, let's explore this unexplored romance between Hawkeye and Black Widow, and that's not what they did.
No, they're friends,
And they made it very clear that like this is, they're not. There's no unrequited love between the two of them. They're more than friends. They are family.
Yeah.
Like
in the purest way, brother sister type relationship.
She sees him as a brother, and I really enjoyed that, and that's what made this moment hurt even more, because it is like Hawkeye literally has to watch
his family heartbreaking
go to his death or to her death. Yes,
it was heartbreaking.
I feel you. I agree.
Good God, was it awful? Him waking up in the pool. Oh my God, I'm sitting there just losing it.
For me, it was the moment when he came back, when they went back through the quantum realm, and everyone is jubilant and celebrating. I can't believe this worked. He just falls to his knees, and just gives that look, and they're just like, "Where's Nat?" And just that moment right there, just that.
Yep.
They let it hang.
Yep.
For just an extra second more than you would expect it to.
Oh God, it was a
just
really,
so you can breathe.
How do you say to yourself, how can I inflict maximum pain on my viewers? Here's what I'm gonna do. That's what they did.
Well, the other part too was they then gave the voice of the audience to Thor, and Thor said, "You're talking like she's gone. We got stones. We got time travel, guys. Like." This ain't over. Like, I don't know why you guys are counting this done and out. And they're just, no, really, it's not, this is not how that works.
Which also registered in the moment that Gamora can't come back.
Right. It's one of those
Gamora,
things,
as we know her, no.
That's right.
She will never be there.
She will not be back.
Right.
Those people are gone. And it was one of those things where, again, now these deaths are becoming permanent.
It does make for an interesting Guardians 3 where Quill has to woo her again. Like that's right. Funny.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be interesting.
I don't know if you play that for laughs. I think you play that as really heartbreaking.
Or like now he has to
completely win her over.
No, it's gonna be whimsical. It's gonna be good.
No, it's not, because they have shared experiences that he remembers, but she doesn't. It's gonna be heartbreaking for him.
Yeah,
it is going to be painful for him, because he's going to want to say, "Hey, remember when we did this thing?" And she does not remember. It's not going to be funny.
That's not all. That's not Quill. That's not
Quill,
what he does.
That's not what Gunn has. I don't think James Gunn's gonna.
No.
I'm thinking 51st Dates.
He's gonna do crazy shit to win her over.
Sure, there might be a couple things to play for laughs, but you want to talk about James Gunn. James Gunn has made that the heart and that soul of those two movies is the idea of family and finding family wherever you can, and the family you choose, not the family you're born with. That was the whole purpose of Guardians Volume 2.
That's how I live.
And
I live by the family I chose.
This isn't that. It's not Vin Diesel's evil. It's that we've lost a member of our family. And this person is not that same person. We have to figure it out.
Right.
And maybe we can make it work. Maybe we don't. Who knows?
That's going to be a fun aspect of the next movie.
It's definitely going to be good.
I don't think it's going to be heartbreaking. I think it's going to be fun, because I think you need we're off the rails here speculating about future shit.
Because it's more than just about Quill. You're going to have that shit with... No, I'm not done. I told you don't fucking cut me off.
I just don't want to talk about speculation.
I don't give a shit.
For a different movie.
I don't give a shit.
All right, you can say it. I'm just going to cut it.
You're going to have that with all of them. You're going to have it with Nebula. You're going to have it with Drax. They have all of these shared experiences and relationships that this Gamora won't have. I'm sure there'll be some comedy because it's Guardians, but there is going to be a good amount of heartbreak. And if you want to sit there and say James Gunn won't freaking do that, I will point you to Yondu. So James Gunn knows how to do a freaking gut punch too. Now you may move on.
The robe is coming off.
He's like, I'm hot. It's hot in here.
So, I mean, listen, that was a big moment for me. I thought it was a part of the movie that most people don't start with. So I'm glad that we got to do that, because I think that scene, that relationship and her sacrifice, I think is bigger than most people are giving it credit to. I want to quickly talk about the moment too, where the movie kind of starts where they're going to go exact their revenge on Thanos right in the beginning. And of course, everything goes horribly awry. What was that like?
The thing is, the biggest early reaction is, in my opinion, when Thor decapitates him, and everybody was kind of like, no, and I was like, good, because he served no more use. You're not getting anything more out of him, so he has to die. Thor did it, and then we move on.
I like also how, like he said, I aimed for the head. Like, all right. Good payoff.
So the number of callbacks, and we can get to that later, but like the number of callbacks in the movie were insanely good.
Mm-hmm.
And like timely, relevant, all of them were good, but like Thanos had to die and Thor had to kill him because he said he was going to kill him. And in truth, Thor character, that's what Thor does. He fucking kills people.
It's also the last time that we see skinny Thor.
Oh,
after that, it's all fat Thor all the time.
That plot vehicle was not my favorite, but it played. It just wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, fat Thor. At first, the first go around, I was waiting for it to be reversed. I was waiting for some kind of training or Asgardian thing that would make him skinny again and just kind of take it back to the Thor that we knew. But I thought it was a real bold choice to just keep him at that, fat, disheveled
fat Thor.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting that when he gets the lightning powers right before they fight Thanos and he gets into his suit, that the lightning braids his hair and his beard.
Yep.
I thought it was like, okay. I guess he's in battle mode. This is what happens. I enjoyed Fat Thor for what it is, but I think really Fat Thor is a bigger we're gonna see a bigger payoff in Guardians, right? And maybe see him just kind of be a different Thor and
bigger payoff than what? You don't think it paid off in this movie?
I don't think it did the way. I don't think that was received the way that they hoped it would be.
He stayed fat. He stayed Fat Thor the whole time. Well, I mean, I don't want to take the words out, but I think CJ's saying we're going to see a transformation in the next.
Right.
The physicality.
No, it's going to be one of those things where he's going to have to mentally shift, and then he's going to.
No, but I'm saying that he did mentally shift in this movie.
Not until the end.
No, of course, no,
right.
No, way before the end. Are you fucking kidding me? Like his whole character arc. Like, I'm sorry, this is the third time I've had to defend this.
You're saying what I'm saying is the moment where he said, "I have to be who I am, not who I'm meant to be."
Yes,
that is the moment where he shifted, and that was like really late.
Yep.
Sure, but
the conversation with his mother is when
he has that epiphany.
That's right.
With the conversation with his mother, where you're looking at a character who not only is feeling guilt because he screwed up and half the universe is out.
Yeah.
Lost his brother.
He is fucking depressed. He
Yeah.
lost his mother. He lost his father. He lost his hammer. He lost his home. He lost half of his people, all of his friends. He lost his brother. And then just to tap it all off, he just because of his own arrogance, he does not go for the head. And as a result, he fails. And it's not just that he failed his friends, he fails the entire universe. This man is depressed.
Right.
And he's just trying to hide it. Like, I hear too many people being like, oh, it was comic relief. You needed to have the comic relief.
I don't think anybody thinks Thor was comic relief.
I think plenty of people think it. That's why I've had to defend this multiple times.
That is a fucking ridiculous premise.
I think that people who think that are just looking at literally the surface of him.
That Thor was comic relief. Like, Thor felt this just as deeply, if not more, than Tony Stark and Cap.
Absolutely.
Like, those three guys. And, like, it caused a complete shift in the character of Banner and Hulk. Like those four really felt it very deeply.
Well, all six of the Avengers felt it deeply.
I get, like, I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is I think those four took on more. Like, Hulk had never been beaten before, got beaten. He feels it more deeply than most. Thor lost everything. Tony not only lost everything, couldn't save everyone twice. And he's feeling it, and Cap is Cap, who takes responsibility for everything that happens everywhere all the time. So there's that, right? But like the rest of the characters, yeah, they lost some folks, whatever. But like I think those four centrally felt the loss most deeply.
Okay.
You don't agree. You don't agree at all.
No, I agree, but I would add Hawkeye and Black Widow to that. We just got done talking about it. Like,
I know.
I just
think their pain was less acute because they are.
Because they went into survival mode. They went into a different mode to
not only that, but
that.
they're just less. They're less capable of protecting everyone. Where the other four.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think you need to extrapolate it to protecting everybody. I think you look at both of them and they couldn't protect their families. And to them, that's their world.
No, that's terrible. And it's the worst feeling ever.
They felt it just as much, but they didn't feel it on a galactic scale.
On a galactic, that's what I'm talking about. Like, Tony is talking about he failed the entire world.
Yeah, because they said, "Hey, you fought him." He goes, "I didn't fight him. He threw a planet at me and then just wiped the floor with me."
Right.
Like, I don't have coordinates. I don't like that. You
know what I really enjoyed? I really enjoyed that they got back. He gets back to Earth, and it's not like, oh, everything's fine, and the past 3 movies didn't happen. He has extreme beef with Cap. He calls him out on it. Says, "I told you this was going to happen. This is why I wanted you to sign these accords."
Around the world.
And things are not okay. Not just as a universe, but just relationship between the two of them is still fractured. And I love the fact that they didn't just swipe it under the rug. Like, it was something that took 5 years to repair between the two of them.
And we were talking about callbacks too. There's a great callback to I think it was Avengers, where he said, "I had a dream about this once. I didn't want it to be
Age
real."
of Ultron.
It was Ultron.
Age of Ultron, yes.
Age of Ultron, where he has that vision.
Yeah.
He thought and this is what he's been afraid of the whole time. This is why this is why he created Ultron.
Right.
Because he wanted to protect everybody. This is why he supported the Sokovia Accords. This is what Tony's been running from this entire time.
He spent however many weeks.
21 days.
21 days in orbit, ready to die. Mm-hmm. Resigned to the fact that he failed and came back to a world that he couldn't fix.
Right.
And a bunch of people that couldn't help him. And he just has no tolerance.
Right.
For that.
When he gets off that ship and he says, "I lost the kid," that's when I cried. That was the first time I started tearing up.
Absolutely.
I have one question, and maybe you've read something, seen something, or can just explain. How did Captain Marvel find that ship?
So there's a couple theories about this. I'll take this one, Josh. Go ahead and calm down. It's fine. So there's the scene at the end of Captain Marvel that showed them with the beeper and the pager.
Yeah.
And the theory is that it's something that happened off screen. Like, she shows up. That scene happens.
Right.
She shows up, says, "Where's Fury?" They go, "Well, here's what happened. Here's what happened with Thanos. We need your help because we don't have any way to try and find our guy.
Yeah, who survived.
Go find our guy."
Right.
And so she went out to finds Tony and then brings him
I would have
back.
been fine with one dialogue scene of just Rocket going, "Glad you found my tracking device." I mean, Rocket was on the ship. It was the Guardian ship. Like, he would probably have something to track the ship. It was just weird, and it was one of the things that I only cared about the third time I saw the movie going, how did she find the ship? It doesn't take it away from it. It doesn't change anything. I'm just curious if you saw anything, or maybe I just missed a detail saying how that happened. I also want to talk about one thing, too. We had talked about Doctor Strange mentioning the 14 million versions of the future in which they win. And there's obviously so many variables, but I read
in which they lose. There's only one.
I'm sorry, one where they win. I read an article that said there was the one thing. What was the one thing that was different in this try versus all the others? And they said, what was the likelihood that a rat would press a button that would allow Ant-Man to come back, that would allow the time? It was the whole catalyst. It shot the rest of it off of just having Ant-Man come back. Because if Ant-Man didn't come back, we wouldn't be time traveling. We wouldn't do all of that stuff.
That's right.
Tony wasn't thinking about that. Tony didn't want to think about that. He was just enjoying life with his family. A rat pressing a button could be the one thing that was different in all of those different timelines that allowed this to happen. I was like, that's interesting. One rat saving the universe.
Yeah. I don't know what you want from me.
I thought maybe that was a crazy lunatic thing. But if you think that's okay, that could be the one thing that you saw.
I don't think that's the one thing that was different. I think you're making me think about this as a bullshit because if the snap always happens,
Mm-hmm.
Scott Lang is always going to get trapped in the quantum realm. And his truck is always going to get impounded at that lot.
Right.
There's always going to be that rat.
Right.
So that wouldn't be the one thing that was different in the 14 million scenarios.
But something influencing the rat. Maybe the time in which the snap happened, got the rat there.
Maybe the timing. No, I don't think it has anything to do with the rat. I think
the one thing that was different was Doctor Strange giving up the time stone.
Right.
At a different time.
One thing.
But
Right.
and that doesn't affect. That's my point. But that doesn't affect the fucking rat at all.
No, not
And so if any one thing was different that would make that one scenario out of 14 million possible, I'm guessing it's just the timing in where he gives up the time stone.
Okay.
Because if it took longer, possibly they wouldn't have still been on Titan. Possibly Peter would have never died in Tony's arms.
Or just something in Wakanda. Right. Okay, cool.
Which really what spurs Tony to do this is not because, hey, my buddies need help. He sees that picture of Peter.
So,
and that's what kind of spurs him to actually
go ahead
forward
and talk about time travel. So let's talk a little bit about Tony now. Let's talk about the journey that Tony Stark went on. Because initially, when I saw his daughter, I thought, oh God, if we do some kind of time travel thing, right? This would change. I was going back to the future rules. This is going to change that. He would lose his daughter. So either he'll stay in the past, and this is how we get him when he doesn't come back, or he just decides to do it, and he has to pay the price of losing his daughter. Like, oh my God, I can't take that. I already watched somebody lose their family. I can do it. So I was very glad to see that didn't happen. But Tony's story was just amazing, and
it didn't freaking help that they made this. I don't know who found this kid. They found the most adorable child in the universe to play this kid.
Yep. It was so good.
It did not help at all.
Christian's been saying I love you 3,000 ever since.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm fucking like every night I'm like, I want to cry.
Don't tell her, but that shit's gonna be my vows.
But I can't tell him not to say it because I think it's so adorable. Like
I just said that's gonna be in his vows. I know it is. I know you're going to do it. That or it's going to be the Han Solo "I love you, I know" moment. I don't know which one is going to be, but I figured. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to address that. I couldn't let that slide.
Okay.
I thought there was again, Josh. You said earlier, how did the Russos go? How can I inflict the most amount of pain on my audience, and they will not only be okay with it, they will thank me. They will thank us for this. The moment where he's talking about, I figured it out. I figured out time travel. You know what I could do? I could just go ahead. I could put a pin in this and just throw this into the bottom of the lake and go to bed. And Pepper goes, yes, but would you rest? And then we flash forward to the end, and she looks at him and goes, you can finally rest now. And it's one of those moments like, you sons of bitches.
That scene, like both Christian and I were a mess with Tony, like leaning against the fucking tree, whatever just sitting there dying.
Yeah.
I was not ready. I was not okay. I was not ready. Like when it happened in Infinity War, when he got stabbed, I lost my shit. But like this, like I knew it was coming, and I still was not ready.
The other thing I really enjoyed for this, and I think Brian's heard me say it and heard other people say it too. The Russos could have really just taken an easy way out with Tony and his death, and just let him and Peter hash it out. And now Tony dies in Peter's hands, right? And that would have been really good for the fans to get that. We would have loved that as fan service. But I think for Tony and the character, having Pepper be the person to be there at the final moment, for Pepper to give him permission, I think was just more impactful for Tony's character. And I know Pepper Potts is not a fan favorite. I know Gwyneth Paltrow is not a favorite, but that moment was so good for both of them and that family. I think it was the best way to do it.
Like, I've been with Laura 21 years. And I mean, I love her to death. That Pepper scene, there's not a whole lot you can envision except, right, you're like your significant other. But when Peter came up, I lost my shit completely. Was not okay.
Yeah.
I was not okay. I'm not okay now.
Right, and I unfortunately had had a death in my family recently, and I remember having that exact conversation. With it was my mother-in-law just saying, "Hey, it's okay to go." Seeing someone hang on longer than they should, and telling them it's okay to go, and it's a very very freaking hard thing to do, but it was honest. It was an honest moment. It was super truthful, and again, I don't think it would have been good for Tony for anybody but Pepper to say that. And there wasn't a dry eye in the sold out IMAX theater every single time when that happens, and even when it's coming, it's still incredibly painful. But it was such a great send off. Again, just watching what he was able to do, it was
great. That's fucking great. What about me? What about this guy?
Listen, Josh, they don't give a shit about you.
Well, that's not fair.
Because they care about storytelling, and it just perfectly closed his loop.
Mm-hmm.
He goes out not in this just huge blaze of glory. He goes there are so many callbacks that moment has. It obviously with him saying "I am Iron Man," which is how the first movie ended.
So amazing.
It ends with him sacrificing himself for the good of the world, which is what Captain America said he would never do in the first Avengers.
Right.
It
also harkened back to something that Howard Stark said, "Oh, I always let my own self-interest get in the way of the greater good."
Earlier in that movie.
Yeah. And
he says that. Yeah. And so I listened to, and first and foremost, before I get too far into it, we give the Russo brothers a lot of credit, but this movie was written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who not just wrote this movie, but wrote all three Captain Americas and Infinity War. So they deserve a ton of freaking credit too.
Yes.
But I listened to
Several.
a podcast with Kevin Smith called Fat Man Beyond and his co-host Mark Bernard, and he said something so freaking poignant. I wish I could repeat it and then try to take credit for it, but I'm not going to.
Well, repeat it, but don't take credit.
I'm not. I'm going to repeat it though. He said, at the core of this movie is about saying what you could never say, saying goodbye and saying the things that you have always wanted to say. And each character gets that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tony gets that moment with his father. And it's really emotional scene of when he says, "Hey, I always thought my father was hard on me, but the good outweighs the bad.
Now
that I look
remember
back
the
on
good."
it."
Yeah.
And like that moment where he tells him, "Hey, I have a daughter," you can tell like he's itching to tell his father, "Hey, I have a daughter."
Right.
And like he gets to have that moment. And Thor gets to have that moment with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America gets to have that moment with a couple people.
Ugly crying.
Yep.
I know.
Tony and his father. Ugly crying.
But it's ultimately this love letter of these characters saying goodbye to, the fans as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like that death scene of Iron Man, like they could have done so many things. They could have done it so over the top. They could have like had him mutter these final words to Peter or to Pepper, and they didn't. They just and Robert Downey Jr. is so fucking good. He's just, because when he's there, you can tell he's just hanging on.
Yeah.
And he's just trying. He's not even trying to talk. He's just like, I need to stay around. Like, I need to hang on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until Pepper says, "It's okay. We're going to be okay. You can rest now," that he actually just goes. And I'm sorry, Josh, because I know you're crying right now. It's just such a perfect loop. This guy who always wanted to fix things.
No, I know it's
fix
good.
everything with his final
I
act.
understand.
But how do I cope?
I'm not
with
saying
that
But
scene?
I'm
you don't
not
understand.
okay with any of this. None of this is okay. Like, I get it, like it closes a loop and it completes a story, and that's fucking wonderful. But no. No.
How do you carry on with that? All right, so then let's talk about someone who gets a much happier ending.
Oh, these were my happy tears.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Captain
And by
America.
the way, for those of you who are curious about who the fuck that teenager is at Tony's funeral,
Yes.
it's the kid from Iron Man 3.
Thank you. I left that theater going, who the fuck was that?
Oh my fucking god! It was the little kid.
Yeah, and that's the same
Oh,
actor.
Josh
He
didn't
just
realize
grew
that.
up.
He's going to cry again.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Yep, that was the kid from Iron Man 3. He invited him to the funeral.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
Same actor. He just, puberty hit
he
him.
just aged like 10,
Yeah.
12
It's
years.
been-
It was the
it's been
same
a while.
actor.
It's
It
been
was
a
the
while.
same
It's
actor.
the same actor.
Ty Simpkins.
Yep. It's just been a minute. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah.
And you know what's even bigger about that funeral scene, which is another thing that I learned while watching and listening to so many podcasts and videos about this movie. You know, a lot of movies with a cast that big and that many big names, because let's face it, these actors are huge for the
Yes.
most part,
Huge.
would take those shots and kind of like stitch them together,
Right.
maybe shoot them on like a green screen or something like that. And no, that's real. Everybody
They all showed up. They showed
Everybody
up.
showed up for that scene.
Fuck off.
I read somewhere they shot it in Atlanta and everybody was
Oh
there.
my God.
Even just for like the day that they shot it,
I'm gonna cry.
everybody
again.
showed up. Very, very cool.
I also like the fact that they ended with Captain Marvel on the stairs, kind of, again, making her a de facto
See, I like how they ended that tracking shot with Nick Fury.
Again,
Yeah.
saying nothing.
This is but this is how it started.
Yes.
This all started. Listen,
That's
you
right.
can say Iron
Yeah.
Man all you want. This did not start with just the movie Iron Man. This all started
With Nick
that
Fury.
post-credit scene.
That was just
as
supposed to be a
fluke.
gag. Yep.
It was a joke. It was, hey, wouldn't it be
Like
cool?
the comic fans would know this.
And it started, and it started with those two guys in a room,
yeah.
and it is just blown up over
Well-
the past decade.
Well, the other thing too, they didn't actually end that funeral scene with Fury. They ended it with Favreau talking to Tony's daughter.
Well,
Oh
I
my
said that
fucking
tracking
god!
shot.
Don't
I know,
start
I know.
with the all the cheeseburgers.
All the-
and
oh
I'm
my God.
the
crying
cheeseburger
and
callback, but
crying
also
and
again,
crying.
Favreau is the director, the guy who again just made
I
this somehow
know,
come
but
together.
like him.
But yes, the
like,
cheeseburger conversation.
He's been with Tony for 20 plus years.
Yep.
Like he's gonna take care of Pepper. He's gonna take care of the girl. Like, he's gonna fucking Christ.
You know, your
Why?
dad liked cheeseburgers. It's again, I'm gonna help.
Oh
Tony's
my
dad say
god! The first thing he did when he got back from Afghanistan was get cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers.
Like, fucking Christ!
that. Get you all the cheeseburgers you want. Yeah, she's got, just like you said, Brian. Whoever the fuck hired that girl, god damn you, because she's got the cutest little. I want cheeseburgers. The lisp with cheeseburgers. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
god, yep, yeah, that's exactly. Yep, she's got no teeth at that part. Yeah, okay. Just because she's like 4. Yeah, that's how it would sound. Yep. Okay. Cool. If anyone needs me, I'll just be in a fetal position right here.
That's right. I'm
just-
gonna sit in my chair and
Yep.
cry.
All right. I just can you pause this for a minute so I can just like fucking get my collapsed.
I don't even
want to
go see it again. I don't.
Oh, you
even
have-
wanna- I don't
it's
wanna-
really good
I
to
don't
see
wanna-
it.
I don't want to
Okay.
do it. I don't want to.
you pick up on so many things.
You do it so much. So let's
No,
talk
honestly, I
about
don't wanna cry again.
Cap, and let's talk about the send off that Captain America got.
Okay.
Because the man finally got that life that Tony was talking about so much.
Yeah, he got his dance.
And he got his dance, he got his girl, and you know what? He's going to keep that to himself. And he's that was for him. That was such a nice. It was such a nice send off. I couldn't ask for anything more for him.
Okay, so are you ready to cry again? Because I'm
Oh,
going to tell you.
God,
a theory.
God damn it. Go ahead.
No,
Sure.
Why are you doing?
By the way,
this to me?
also, I just want to preface this with, when we're talking about this Cap send-off thing, I don't give a shit about the other timelines or what happened and how does that. I don't
So-
no,
know.
he closed all the
Yeah,
timelines. He
yeah,
closed
so-
all of them.
There's
So-
so many people who are. I don't care about time travel in this movie. If we learned anything, who gives a fuck? Let's
Yeah,
talk
nobody
about
gives a shit. Just
Brian, go
suspend
ahead.
your disbelief for a minute.
All right. So yes, there's this theory. The idea that he stayed back in the past, people are saying could be an alternate timeline. But what I choose to believe is that he somehow did stay in their timeline, and
That's what
he
the Russo
aged
said.
throughout the entire.
That was the last
Series.
loop that he closed,
Right.
and he chose to stay there.
And he goes,
I want-
"Tap, tap,"
I
and
mean,
ends up on
how?
the bench.
I mean, it's not hard to believe.
Yeah.
I want you to choose. I want you to remember. I want to say it was Winter Soldier. Yeah, I want to say it was Winter Soldier, and Captain America is sitting in that hospital room with Peggy,
Yes,
who has dementia, and she's talking about her husband, not realizing that her husband was him, and he has no idea that he was also her husband. So that's why that scene where she gets so surprised going, oh my God, Steve, you're so young. It's because
he was old with her.
He was old with her. And he grew old with her and had a whole life with her and had kids with her. And she just doesn't remember it. It's the fucking Notebook, but for superheroes. And I love it. It's really, really hard. It's just, it's so happy that he got the life that he had, but kind of sad for Peggy because she knew the entire time and had to keep it a secret.
It makes the kiss with his niece then really awkward. Little weird. Weird. Because she would have known. No, I guess
no,
not.
she would have had no idea.
She would have no idea because, all right, this is when timey-wimey
because
as long as neither of them knew that they were related, I'm okay with that.
No, they would have no idea. All right, it's the Game of Thrones paradox.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, I give no shits about any of that.
I'm okay with that. So the other part too, he obviously told Bucky that he was going to do this, right?
No, I don't think he told him. I think Bucky is just
Bucky
that close
figured
to
it
him.
out. Yeah,
he knows.
Yeah,
okay.
And I'll tell you,
sussed it out.
And I'll tell you right now how he figured it out because they did another callback to the first Avenger where
you're taking all the stupid with you.
Yeah, where Cap says, "Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone," and Bucky says, "How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you."
Right.
That's what Bucky. But that's what Bucky said to Cap.
No,
when he went to war.
That's what
Cap said to Bucky.
I'm sorry, Cap said to Bucky,
and then this time, Bucky
flipped
said
it around.
to Cap.
Yeah. Okay,
well, but
Bucky sussed
okay,
it out.
I was right. You're reversing my words.
What?
Bucky's the one who's leaving to go to war, and Cap says, "How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you."
Right.
That's
and
my
this
point.
Time,
but my point is, when Bucky said that, he wasn't expecting to come back from the war.
Okay, right.
That's why Bucky knew he's not coming back. That's why, like, he's the first one to spot him because he knows he's not going to come back through here, or we're gonna find him somewhere else.
I don't agree with that outlook.
I do. I think Bucky knew.
Steve Rogers had every expectation of enlisting and joining the war. So, I just don't see it that way. I do see it as a callback from the first movie.
You're okay. Again, you're not listening to what I'm saying because when Bucky leaves for war, Cap has gotten denied 3 or 4 times already. He can't go to war. He's still skinny, scrawny Steve Rogers. So when Bucky says, "Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone," and Steve says, "How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you." They're prescribing to the fact that we probably will not be seeing each other again.
Okay,
because Steve can't get in the war.
That is a fair assumption.
Right. The moment though too where he calls Sam over, and you see the leather bag, and you know what's in there because it's fucking round. And he hands off the shield to Sam, and he's like, "I feel like it's someone else's." And he goes, "It isn't." And he goes, "I'm going to try my best. I will do my best." He goes, "That's why I picked you." I'm sitting there just go, "Yeah, okay, yep." Okay. Yep. I love that friendship. Son of a fucking bitch.
Christian started smacking me in the arm, going, "I told you it was going to be Sam." And I'm going, okay, well, maybe not right now. Maybe not. Don't gloat because I'm crying over here.
Why would it be anyone other than Sam?
I thought it was going to be Bucky.
Oh no, I thought it was going to be Sam.
The thing I always thought it was going to be Sam because the thing about Bucky is that he's got that guilt complex. He's gonna always be like, "I don't deserve this. This isn't me. I'm not this guy." But Sam is. From the moment we meet Sam, he is always trying to do better.
Oh, that on your left, thing. Jesus Christ!
The moment when all the portals open and you see everyone come back. First off,
are we gonna address this right now?
Yeah, let's do it now. Hey, Mr. Stark, remember when I was out in space? I was getting all dusty. And I'm just sitting there, just going, "Oh dear God," because all you just see is Tony just going, "Oh my."
And then I woke up.
Yeah, and then I woke up, and Doctor Strange said that it hasn't been 5 minutes; it's been 5 years, and then we have to come help you right now. And I'm just sitting there, just going, he just fucking grabbed him.
My entire theater erupted when Peter Parker.
I was back. Both fully tumescent and also fully bawling at the exact same moment.
Absolutely. Like
I don't know what that's called, but
no, and you know. You expected that moment. You expected them to come back. But when they did, holy shit.
All of them came back at the same time.
What an amazing movie moment. And like, Peter, when Peter came back, I was losing my shit, crying. It was amazing. It was unbelievable.
And seeing Captain finally say, "Actually, Brian, I'm going to let you do it because I know you've been waiting
I
for this
get
for
to
years.
say it?
Yes, you do.
After 11 years, well, technically since 2012, so what, 7 years of Avengers and Avengers type movies, I finally get to hear Captain America say, Avengers Assemble.
Yep.
And I'm not joking. Like it wasn't even, I didn't like scream right. Like I actually cried. That's a moment that I cried at because it was just, it was just validation for the past. Yeah, they teased us, but it's just been validation for the past 11 years of just this journey you've been on. Like every single moment in this movie is earned. That moment is earned, and they've earned it over the past decade. And it's so satisfying. It made me so happy. And it was just like flipping the comic book page to this giant splash page with all the heroes on it and Captain America saying Avengers Assemble. And I just got the same feeling that I did when I was a little kid reading these books when that moment happened. And it was so good.
And I like the line reading too, where it's allowed Avengers Assemble. And just like, oh, fuck. He went quiet with it. So everyone just leaned forward to hear it.
Yep.
And then when it finally happens, just everyone erupting. Not only are we erupting when that moment comes, but when he finally picks up Mjolnir.
Oh, well, that was... I was the only ass. I swear to God. We're sitting in the theater. The Mjolnir goes up. It goes away. It comes back. Cap catches it. No one else said a goddamn thing. I went... What? Exactly like that. Like I erupted from my seat, like from my shoes.
Yes.
I erupted.
Yep.
And like everybody around me was startled. Like what is this guy's deal? Clearly I'm moved. But like that was like Christian jumped up and I exclaimed words.
Yes.
That's funny that you say your theater is silent because both times I saw it, that moment happened and it just erupted into applause.
No. The theater said they were in, I don't know, maybe it was stunned silence. I don't know. But I was the only asshole and I yelled.
I went the first time, it was 10 o'clock on Thursday. I was there by myself. I didn't go with my wife because staggering schedule. So I was there in my lonesome, just kind of talking to the guy next to me before the movie. So I was experiencing this by myself. And when that moment happened, I literally grabbed the guy who sat next to me, grabbed his arm and went, holy fuck. And I shook him and he looked right back at me and goes, holy shit. And we had a moment and, oh my God, the whole theater was crazy.
Also, this is the nerdiest hour we've ever recorded.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yes. More nerd on.
Yeah,
tape
you've tempered me. I mean, I could go nerdier. Go fuck yourselves.
So listen, again, a wonderful send off to Cap. I love the moment where they're fighting and they switch. So he has Stormbreaker and he goes, no.
You give me that. You get the small one. Right, yep. You get the small one. Yeah, that was great. Like, but so the thing is, he caught it. And Thor went, I knew it.
Yes. I'm glad because the second and third showing I went to, people were yelling over that line. They were so excited that they didn't hear Thor say,
Christian turns to me. He's like, wait, was he sandbagging? And I'm like, no. He just wasn't ready. Like he hadn't, Cap hadn't let go of the past. He wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But he got it, and now he's strong enough, CJ, to pick it up.
Well, the only people that we've seen wield Mjolnir are Vision, Thor, and now finally Cap.
That's right.
It's just been those three. That's the other thing I want to talk about. This was quickly just kind of blown over, not really brought up or talked about until the funeral was between between Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye, where we finally addressed the fact no Vision, and Vision also cannot come back, will not be back.
Done.
We've got no more Vision. Unless, again, if Shuri had him saved and we do it without the Soul Stone.
Shuri absolutely has all the schematics to make a Vision, and she knows how to make him without the Mind Stone.
Right.
Will he be the same Vision? Probably not.
But will we get it? Do you think we're going to see that? Is he going to be in there? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure their Disney Plus show is called Scarlet Witch and Vision, so I'm guessing, yeah.
Is anybody else going to address that Howard Stark's driver was Jarvis?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Another fun tidbit. This is the first time that the movies have actually referenced the TV shows because that Jarvis was in Agent Carter.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
'cause no one watched Agent Carter.
Jarvis was in the Agent Carter series, and they brought him in as the Jarvis butler for
That was nice.
Howard Stark.
Well, that's good.
So it's that they've officially referenced the TV shows now, which
It
was
exists.
pretty
I
They
gotta
are
tell you,
connected.
dude. I gotta tell you, that scene completely tore
Oh
me
yeah,
to
no,
pieces.
it was insane.
Tore me to pieces.
Listen, the action was incredible in this. Seeing Thanos again, knowing that he's not done, watching him destroy Cap's shield, and then ultimately watching him have to just suffer with the fact that everything around him is turning to dust, and then finally he's the last one to get decimated was so satisfying.
Yes.
I was like, great. I don't need someone to kill him. We already saw him be murdered. Good.
It was better than seeing him decapitated.
Yes, it was much better just to watch everything fail. The armor. I mean, if you looked at his armor, it's just destroyed. He wasn't expecting anything like this to happen. And it was just great to just watch him go, watch him turn to dust. It's so great.
So let's can we Brian, are you satisfied with the conversation? Can we talk numbers?
Yeah, I was just about to. I
If
think we're
you'd
at that
like
spot.
to talk numbers, sure.
I'm saying no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, are you satisfied with the conversation?
I'm never satisfied with the conversation.
He'll
I
never
could
be
talk about this
satisfied.
movie for three. Listen, I need you all to understand. I saw this movie on Thursday night, and I immediately tried to go to bed. It did not work for me, but I tried because I saw a late showing. And then I was at work on Friday. I was like,
We were
everybody was
trying
like,
to
no,
not talk about it a whole
Everybody's
lot.
like, no, you can't talk about it. So instead, because I don't want to overload my beautiful and amazing fiance with all of my nerdiness, I went home and I watched 5 hours of YouTube videos
just to get the
dissecting
cathartic
this
feeling.
movie and talking about this movie. And I've listened to at least 3 hours of podcasts. I could talk about this movie for days. So if you ask me if I'm satisfied with the conversation, meh.
I'm saying, are you? Oh,
I could talk for 5 hours about this movie.
You just said our conversation was meh.
No, I'm not the conversation itself. My point is, I think you're asking me, Brian, do you have anything else you would like to converse about?
That's what I'm saying. I'm
And
saying,
I'm
do you
telling
have
you-
closing thoughts? Closing thoughts.
I don't have
before we
closing
move on to
thoughts. I
numbers?
have all the thoughts,
I think
Josh.
his point, Josh, is he will never be done with this movie. He'll never be done discussing it, talking about it, thinking about it, dissecting
No,
it.
I get
He'll
it,
never do it.
and I'm
He's
with
always
you.
angry.
I'm there. I have infinite thoughts. The thing is, our listeners don't have that kind of time. So, do you
I'm
have
sorry.
closing thoughts?
I wish I had America's ass. We didn't talk about Captain Marvel very much. I thought she was utilized
she's got
pretty
a
well
lot
in this
more
movie.
to come. Like, yeah,
They addressed the fact that she wasn't. Where was she? That she's going around. There's other planets that are going through the same thing that they are. They don't have an Avengers team. Like, I think they did a great job of using her when they needed her and explaining why she wasn't there. And because obviously she just would have plowed through everything.
I got
Right.
I got a real problem with what villain could possibly challenge her.
And I'm interested to see what happens in the
Yeah.
future Captain Marvel movies to kind of challenge that. But I mean, kind of dovetailing into that, I think that the end scene of the passing of the baton from Hawkeye to Black Panther to Spider-Man, where they're trying to get the gauntlet to the van.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That scene was great. And it all
Yep.
ultimately culminated in this, like the 10 or 15 females, badass freaking superheroines of the
Mhm.
Marvel Universe just kicking ass, which
Yep.
was really cool. Finally seeing Pepper in a suit of armor, also kicking ass, was pretty damn cool as well.
But she's done now, right?
Yes,
I would imagine.
She-
Well,
she-
I mean,
she said
I would
she is.
imagine, with the exception of maybe the oddball cameo here and there, if that. But
She's just going to run Stark Industries.
She said she was
Yeah.
done. So yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was any really large moments that I really want to talk about.
Do you want to talk about Hulk?
I mean, I gotta say, like seeing Smart Hulk was awesome. If we're gonna talk about Hulk,
Dr. Hulk, right?
I mean, yeah, he's
From
called.
the books.
They refer to him in the comic books as Professor Hulk,
Professor Hulk.
and that was the Hulk I grew up with in the '90s comic books for the most part. He was smart. He was Smart Hulk, and so it was really nice to kind of see that arc kind of culminate the way that it did.
Christian schooled me on all that.
And what was really funny, I love the scene where they go back to 2012 and he's looking at himself, the all rage monster. And then he's like, "Arr," like boom, like, "Arr," like,
yeah.
it was good. Like this movie did such a really great job of like, hey, we know we have some heavy shit. We're gonna start off really heavy, but we're gonna just these little touches of comedy here and here and here, because the middle's pretty intense, even though there's not like, oh, we lost and everything like that. Like, it's still like the stakes are high. Like, you're still like freaking out about it, and then end the way it did. Like, it did a really good job of like inserting these little bits of comedy. And what I really loved about, and CJ is going to appreciate this comment more than Josh ever will. What I really loved about the first act of this movie, but before they go to the time travel, and CJ, you got to tell me if you felt it or if I'm just like superimposing this on the movie.
Sure.
It felt like the way it was filmed, it just felt empty.
Yes.
Every scene, even with 16 characters, like not 16, but like even with 6 characters in a room, it just felt
a lot of space.
It felt empty.
And that's why
that was so good.
You're absolutely right. I have no idea what you're saying.
That's like the moment when they finally use the stones to unsnap everybody and they come out and you finally see birds flying. And you're like, oh, we've been missing little things like that.
Those little things in the background.
And
like,
the
I think
diner,
it's just a subtle change of the lighting.
is still empty. There's still a lot of space.
It just felt like you have this void.
Quiet.
It was so well done. Yeah. The Russo brothers know what the hell they're doing, man. Also, the first set of directors to have $3 billion films under their belts.
So I'm glad you brought up numbers, Brian, because I think the two of you need to realize that.
Yeah, you were right.
I was right.
Shut up.
All right, yes.
No.
Go ahead.
Right. No. This doesn't happen often.
You were right.
This doesn't happen often. I hedged a bet.
By often, you mean ever? Congratulations.
No, that's not
you
true.
Were right
We've had several moments of
being right.
How long are you
going to gloat about it?
Excuse me?
How long are you going to gloat about it?
Dude, I threw this out a month ago.
Yeah, no, you said crazy thing. It's going to be $1 billion. Now, Brian and I are both going. You're absolutely right.
I was immediately met with no and math. And do you really think? And Brian, you've listened to many shows and you listened to the same one I did. This movie didn't just beat records and beat things by a little bit. It didn't beat it by much. It beat everything by a metric fuck ton.
Of ketchup.
Yes, of ketchup. A metric fuck ton of ketchup. It obliterated records in a way that has never been seen. The way that Thanos destroyed Captain America's shield is the same way that this thing did on the box office. It was incredible.
So some of the stats that I know off the top of my head was before this movie, the fastest movie to reach $1 billion was actually Avengers: Infinity War, and it took 11 days globally. This took 5 globally, so it didn't have $1 billion to get to $1 billion.
It was 99% of all ticket sales in China.
It was 99% of ticket sales all in China.
It's crazy.
It is actually, I think the high before this movie, the highest global opening weekend was $640 million, which was Infinity War. This more than doubled it. It is ranked it's actually number 1 in the top opening weekends of all time, obviously. Yeah.
And these records are going to stand for a long time. And if I know Brian, there's one thing that I know he wants this movie to do.
Yes.
More than anybody else in the world.
He's literally
Avatar.
about to.
Brian wants this
to beat Avatar.
Obliterate
It is halfway
Avatar.
there. It got halfway there in a weekend. I believe in this movie. I think it can do this. I fucking hate Avatar. I don't know. I don't care who knows it. I hate this movie. I hate that movie.
Brian hates this the way that some people hate war.
Here's the thing. It's got so much. It's got a lot of things going against it that Avatar had going for it. And the fact of the matter is, the biggest thing is that it's released in the summer, and within a month, the cycle of movies is going to try to push it out. I'm hoping it holds on.
It's not summer yet, brother.
It's summer movies.
It's got all of May. It's got all of May.
But the summer in the movie season doesn't.
Summer in the movie
play by those
season
rules.
starts in May. It is legitimately, but that's my point, Josh. It legitimately has to make its money in 1 month. Avatar literally was in theaters for like 10 months.
Yeah.
That's why it grossed so much fucking money.
That sounds unfair.
Well,
But that's my point. That's why it grossed so much money, is because Avatar was in theaters for fucking ever.
And
And
the
everybody
other part
wants
too,
to point it to, oh my gosh, it made the most amount of money. I could leave a ton of movies in there for 10 months and make a lot of money.
You release a movie like this in April so that you can do a big, like, return in November, December on DVD.
The thing that I'll say,
listen, I know this movie is going to make a ton of money on Blu-ray and DVD. That's not what I want, Josh. I need you to listen to my words. I need this movie to make more money at the box office than Avatar.
No, I get it. I do. I understand.
And Avatar made like $3 billion
that are coming out of your mouth.
I don't know if you do.
I'm hoping that it can get the Black Panther effect where it did stay in theaters for a longer period of time. To the point where people are like, that's still in theaters? And then, like, it came back.
Dude, Black Panther was still in theaters.
Black Panther was in theaters forever.
It was in theaters when it got released on Blu-ray still.
Yes,
so, like, if this can do that, even just for a couple screens, just to push it over. But
1.2 in a weekend
is insane.
CJ, I humbly prostrate myself in front of you, not prostrate, but prostrate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And you were correct, and I was incorrect in the numbers evaluation and the expectations for this film. I clearly was off my fucking rock.
And besides Disney, do you know who else were the big winners? The theaters. The amount of concession. Brian's got that stupid little popcorn tin at AMC that costs $6 just to get the tin, $11 for the popcorn.
The fucking Christian wouldn't let me grab a bottle of water because there was a line at the premiere, the premiere line there.
Yep.
So he was like, "No, Christian, like, let's fucking go with the look."
Right. But dude, it's a 3-hour movie. You need to have something, and also you gotta weigh.
And I'm like,
every
dude,
sip of your bladder.
I need a bottle of water, right? Like, I need something. He's like, "Nope. Let's go." And I'm like, I'm just going to grab a bunch of napkins so I can blow my nose and wipe my tears. That's
currently in the first week of release at 1.785 billion.
Brian is actively tracking this. If he could have hourly updates on this sent to his watch,
I would love it if I could get hourly updates, because I really, so, I mean, you know what that means? That means we are a measly 1.3 billion away from beating Avatar.
Just repeat it. Just do another opening weekend and we're good.
And honestly, in comparison, Avatar's dog shit.
Oh yeah, it's dog shit.
Dude, forget about comparison. Just as a movie, that movie is dog shit.
All right. Let's not
attack.
I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes attacking Avatar.
Fuck it, it's a terrible movie.
I have one question that I'm just curious about. We obviously know people who are, not the fanboys that we are, the people that are not diving into this movie head first, the people who are going to say, "Oh, I'll watch it when it's on Netflix," only to learn that it will be on Disney Plus. These people, I have a question for them, or for you, and how you think they're going to interact with this. Is, do you think they're going to watch this movie in one sitting, or is this something that they're going to do over the scope of days?
I don't think those people exist. This is
there are people,
global, but this is a global event.
But
this is something you have to be a part of. You have to see in the theater.
Listen,
I got people that have never watched a Marvel movie that have watched this, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I had somebody say that. Okay, well,
like, you've never watched a Marvel movie. How the fuck are you going to understand what's happening on the screen here? But I mean, the truth is, this stands up by, like, okay, so you won't get the callbacks, and you probably won't be as emotional, but, like, end of the day, this is a great movie. Standalone.
It really is. This is going to be in my top 10 list for a very long time. On top of movies that I really enjoy and the ones that are, like, critically acclaimed. Not only was this like, oh, the fans really liked it, but the critics were like, also, hey, I can't believe they did this for 3 hours.
How does this not become your favorite Marvel movie of all time?
Oh, it is. Like, I'm talking movies of all time. Where will this rank? It will always live in the top 10.
All right. Well, I separate those from most movies.
That's what I'm saying. I've never included.
Maybe you're right. Maybe this makes its way into my top 10. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't normally include Marvel movies in my top 10 movie list. This is one that I will be putting in my top 10.
That's right. I don't ever put Marvel comic book movies in my top list. But
I think this is
why are they not movies?
Oh,
No, they're just different. They're just different. But
oh no,
now
it's
this
not.
is the
They're
one.
fucking movies.
But this is the one that
No.
transcends everything.
That's the thing. This does transcend, and
I mean, you're gonna put this next to The Godfather and things like that, and be like,
I'll
yes.
put fucking Iron Man next to The Godfather. Are you fucking kidding me?
oh,
right,
get
calm
the
down.
fuck out
It's
of
a
here.
fucking movie.
No, no.
There's
Calm
nothing
down.
different about it. It's a fucking
Brian,
movie.
Calm down.
Oh, I'm not
can't.
doing this with you.
Calm
down.
down.
Calm down.
No, I'm not saying that
I
Iron
need
Man
you
is
to
good as The
take-
Godfather.
I need you
My
to take
point
35
is,
to
it is a
45%
fucking
off.
movie. It's a movie.
I get it.
Hence, it is able to be judged on its merit as a fucking movie with movies
it's-
like The Godfather.
dude, Iron Man
it's
is-
not
you can't
different.
put-
It's not special. It's not lesser. It's a fucking movie.
But when you look at Iron Man objectively as a movie, you can't say I could compare that to The Godfather. No,
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
say. I'm saying. Listen, I'm not saying it's in my top 10. I'm saying it's a movie. Judge it on its merits as a fucking movie. Don't sit there and tell me it's special.
I've never had a Marvel movie go in my top 10. They're a popcorn movie. I've never had emotional resonance.
right.
I've never had
That's
that reply, that response, the thing that stays with me for days and weeks, the thing that makes me analyze. Like, I've never done it with a Marvel movie.
I can't stop thinking about this movie.
Yes.
I get it.
cannot stop thinking about it.
but that's great. I'm telling you.
That makes
But
Brian.
you can't.
that
my
makes
point is,
it.
you can't say, "Oh, I don't normally rank Marvel movies ever when I rank movies." They're
That-
movies,
But I don't.
No, but
they're movies.
They're not.
Oh my God.
Yes,
you gotta
they are.
stop. You gotta calm down.
That
We're-
makes it. This makes it a film, not a movie. It makes it something.
This is something
else.
snobby people would be like, oh, yes, I did enjoy them. They would, yes. The you know, the others that judge movies, right? The other people.
Like, not us, not fanboys. Like, obviously, we love all this shit, and yes, we do, of course.
But the people are like, yes, well, you know, the character development.
We just in January we did a top 5 from last year, and I excluded anything comic book related because I feel like it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And
like-
I'm telling you, it's not.
And
saying that it is automatically making it lesser than any other movie.
what I was saying to Laura before I saw this movie is that so far in 2019, my favorite movie is The Dirt. The Motley Crue movie is my favorite movie of 2019.
Right.
I saw this and I went, Jesus fucking Christ, this is a new bar. It is a new bar.
For all movies.
It's not about comic books. It's not about fight scenes or blowing stuff up. It's about the story, how it developed, how the characters interact, and what happened along the course of the movie. This movie was spectacular.
Yeah.
It's not, and like, there's no way you can deny it.
And I've never felt that way with
Right.
other Marvel movies. I've loved it. I think they're great. I highly recommend. I watch them a lot of times. I've never felt the same way walking out of a Marvel movie as I did
Nope.
with this one. Therefore, when I look back, even on my childhood memories, The Mask is in my top list because I was a little kid when The Mask came out. I love Jim Carrey. I am still reminiscing about Endgame the way I reminisce about watching Top Gun. And if you know me, that's
right.
a big fucking deal.
I was moved, like, watching Infinity War, right? And Cap shows up on the screen, everybody applauds, right? And then they go to Wakanda and everybody applauds. That was not the same as this.
Right.
This was, I mean,
Pandemonium.
I heard from all around me people weeping.
Yeah, there was a woman next to me who was literally hanging on by a thread.
Right.
And someone had to ask her, "Are you okay?"
Right. It was super emotional, up and down,
So-
all over the place. I've never, ever, ever been in a movie theater like
I think
this.
from what I can tell right now, just in our interaction, Josh had a very big emotional reaction to A Star Is Born. Had a very emotional
Huge.
reaction to it.
Yes.
I think this one made The Star Is Born just kind of look like, you know, a romantic comedy in the sense of
it was silly.
how he felt about
it made it made A Star Is Born look silly,
Right.
emotional.
So, Brian, I completely understand what you're saying. I'm not validating the legitimacy of Marvel movies having an impact on that. For me personally, again, my top 10, I've never had a Marvel movie on there. I don't think I would put a superhero movie on there. I will put this one on my top 10 and
Yeah.
defend it till I die.
I think you might
Okay.
be right.
That is different from what you said 15 minutes ago.
Oh, for fuck's
Oh my
sake.
God,
It's
semantics,
not.
semantics. It's not, but whatever. It's fine.
That's fine.
I'll edit it to make it look like everyone's in agreement. Yay! So
you don't have to sell the fucking movie to me. I know it's an amazing movie.
Listen, I do agree. This has been the nerdiest we have ever nerded on this podcast. We are almost at 200 episodes. This is the nerdiest one we've ever done. We have obviously been talking for a while about this movie, and I have to turn it to you, listener, you, right now, in your car, on your way to work, walking around, whatever you're doing. I need you to stop what you're doing, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, text messaging, whatever. Find a pigeon and send me a scroll. I need to know what you felt about this movie, how you feel about just everything going on in it. I want to have the cathartic thing with you. Brian is not done talking about this movie, and Brian will never be done talking about this movie. So we would love to extend this conversation and keep it going. And if you so demand it, we can talk more about this at the end of other episodes in the coming weeks. We know there's a lot of feelings about it, but I do have one request for you. If you have seen this movie and you know that there are people that have not yet, please don't spoil it for people. I know that we normally wait 2 weeks to talk about a movie, and we're doing this a week after just because it's a big event, but there are people who are now hearing about this movie, hearing about this franchise, and honestly saying, okay, maybe I really should invest in this. Maybe I really should give this a try. All my friends have been talking about it. Let me go ahead and start watching these movies. Don't spoil this for those people. Let them come into the fandom. We've talked about how our nerdy culture has been very inclusive and very welcoming to letting people in. A lot of people are going to start now. Don't spoil it. Let them come into this community and let them have these exact same feelings that you're having. So thank you so much for listening. Cannot wait to hear what you guys thought about this movie, how you feel, and the reactions to what we've said today. So I look forward to seeing and talking to you guys over the next coming weeks, and we will see you on the next episode.
Well, welcome to the club, because you are that kind of nerd.